It was supposed to be just another ordinary day. The week was crawling toward spring break, and most students were already counting down the minutes until freedom. At my old high school, a few friends and I were holed up in the computer basement, our safe haven, our cool little hideaway where the hum of the servers drowned out the chaos of teenage life upstairs. I had recently graduated college and returned to work as a computer intern for the district. It wasn't glamorous, but the office down in the basement was surprisingly nice. 3 sturdy desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and most importantly, icy air conditioning that the rest of the school envied. Dave, Gary, and I, 3 ex-students turned part-time tech support, kept the place running. The basement was our kingdom, a labyrinth of forgotten desks, old textbooks, and the steady, comforting thrum of the building's digital heart. On this particular afternoon, my co-workers were upstairs, fixing something in the labs. I was alone, savoring a turkey sandwich at my desk when my phone buzzed. The number on the screen belonged to the front office secretary. Her voice was tight, urgent. "The school is on lockdown. Somebody possibly armed has entered the building. Stay where you are. Turn off the lights." I froze. The basement office didn't even have a proper door, just a wide entryway that opened into the cluttered maze of the school's storage. Worse, the main basement door didn't lock. My half-eaten sandwich sat on the desk, suddenly obscene in its normalcy. My mind raced, trying to process her words. Armed? Here? The school always felt like a bubble, a place removed from the real world's dangers. Now, that bubble had been violently popped. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the sudden, suffocating silence. I obeyed her command without a second thought. The main lights clicked off, plunging the office into a gloomy twilight, lit only by the faint glow of the server racks in the adjacent room. I killed my monitor, the screen going black with a soft hiss. My hands were shaking as I slid out of my chair and crouched behind the heavy metal desk, my back pressed against the cold wall. The phone in my hand felt like both a lifeline and a liability. It buzzed again and again. Texts poured in from teachers upstairs, their messages a chaotic stream of fear and confusion. Heard shouting in the West Wing. "Are you okay? Police are here." Each notification was a small explosion in the silence, making me jump. I silenced the phone, the screen's light feeling like a beacon in the darkness. My sanctuary, the place I came to escape the world, had become a trap. The open entryway to the storage area loomed like a gaping mouth. Anyone could just walk in. The main basement door at the top of the stairs, the one that led to the first-floor hallway, had a broken lock that had been on the maintenance list for months. We used to joke about it, about how anyone could wander down. It wasn't funny anymore. Every sound was magnified, distorted by fear. The gentle hum of the servers, usually a comforting background noise, now sounded like a low growl. The distant groan of the building's pipes became footsteps. My breath hitched in my throat. I tried to control it, breathing in slowly through my nose and out through my mouth. But the adrenaline was a tidal wave, drowning my attempts at calm. I was completely, utterly exposed. My mind conjured images of a shadowy figure descending the concrete stairs, the door swinging open, their eyes scanning the darkness. Would they see me? Would the faint light from the servers give me away? The desk felt flimsy, inadequate. I was a sitting duck. Minutes stretched into an eternity. I stayed crouched, my muscles screaming in protest. My phone buzzed silently in my hand, the screen lighting up with a call from Dave. I debated answering. A voice, even a whisper, felt like a risk. I let it go to voicemail, my thumb hovering over the screen. A moment later, a text appeared. "Cops everywhere. SWAT team just went in. Stay put. We're locked in the science lab." The mention of a SWAT team sent a fresh jolt of terror through me. This wasn't a drill. This wasn't a rumor. This was real. The kind of real you only see on the news, happening to other people in other towns. Then I heard it. A distinct sound from the hallway above. A slow, heavy tread. It wasn't the frantic running of students or the measured pace of a teacher. It was a drag, a shuffle. Thump, scrape, thump, scrape. My blood ran cold. The sound was getting closer to the basement stairwell. My heart felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. I squeezed my eyes shut, as if not seeing would make me invisible. The main basement door, the one that didn't lock, creaked open. A single set of footsteps began to descend the concrete stairs. They were slow, deliberate, each step echoing in the cavernous stairwell. My mind went blank with panic. This is it. This is how it ends. I fumbled with my phone, my fingers too slick with sweat to unlock it. I wanted to call 911, to scream, to do something. But I was paralyzed, pinned in place by a primal fear. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs and stopped. I could hear ragged breathing just beyond the storage maze. Silence. A long, drawn-out silence where the only sound was the blood roaring in my ears. I held my breath, waiting for the figure to emerge from the clutter, to step into the faint light of the server room. My eyes were glued to the entryway of my office nook. But the footsteps didn't come closer. Instead, I heard a soft thud, followed by a metallic clatter, like something heavy being dropped on the concrete floor. More silence. What was happening? Was it a trap? Were they waiting for me to make a noise? My imagination ran wild. I envisioned a dark figure setting something down, waiting, listening. The silence was broken by a new sound, one from far above. Shouted commands. "Police! Show me your hands!" The voices were muffled, but clear. Then, the sound of running, heavy boots thundering down the main hallway. The footsteps I had heard in the basement started again, but this time they were frantic, clumsy. A series of crashes echoed from the storage area as the person stumbled through the maze of old furniture. They were running away from the entryway, deeper into the sprawling basement. Suddenly, the main basement door at the top of the stairs slammed open with a crash, and light flooded the stairwell. "This is the police. If you're down here, make yourself known," a voice boomed, amplified and authoritative. I didn't move. Was it a trick? Could the armed person be imitating the police? But then another voice, and another, and the beam of a powerful flashlight cut through the darkness of the storage area, sweeping across old desks and boxes. I finally let out the breath I hadn't realized I was holding, a choked sob escaping my lips. "I'm in here! I'm an employee!" I yelled, my voice cracking. The flashlight beam snapped toward my office, blinding me. "Stay where you are, hands where I can see them." The command was harsh, but it was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. I slowly rose from behind my desk, my hands raised, shaking uncontrollably. A figure in full tactical gear appeared in the entryway, rifle pointed at my chest. His eyes scanned me, then the small office space. "Are you injured?" he asked, his tone softening slightly. I just shook my head, unable to speak. Another officer joined him, and they quickly swept the rest of the basement. A few moments later, a call came over their radio. "Suspect apprehended in the boiler room. Unarmed." Unarmed. The word hung in the air. The chaos, the terror, the SWAT team, all for someone who was unarmed. It turned out to be a former student with severe mental health issues who had made a verbal threat and caused a panic. He had come to the basement to hide, just like me. The metallic clatter I heard was him dropping a crowbar he'd been carrying. Relief washed over me, so potent it made my knees weak. I sank into my chair, the adrenaline finally leaving my system, replaced by a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. The turkey sandwich was still on my desk, a forgotten relic from a different lifetime, just an hour ago. The basement was no longer my kingdom. It was just a cold, dark room. And the silence was no longer peaceful.